The United States is currently facing a debt ceiling crisis. The debt ceiling is the maximum amount of money that the government is allowed to borrow. If the debt ceiling is not raised, the government will default on its debt. A default would have a devastating impact on the economy. It would lead to a loss of confidence in the US government, which would drive up interest rates. It would also lead to a decline in the value of the dollar, which would make imports more expensive and exports less competitive. In order to avoid a default, the government needs to raise the debt ceiling. However, Congress is currently deadlocked on this issue. Republicans and Democrats are unable to agree on a way to raise the debt ceiling. The trillion-dollar coin proposal. One proposed solution to this crisis is to mint a trillion-dollar coin. This would allow the government to pay its bills without having to borrow any more money. The trillion-dollar coin proposal is based on a law passed in 1997. This law allows the US Mint to mint platinum coins of any denomination. If the government minted a trillion-dollar coin, it would deposit the coin with the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve would then credit the government's account with $1 trillion. The government could then use this money to pay its bills. This would allow the government to avoid a default. The pros and cons of the trillion-dollar coin proposal. The trillion-dollar coin proposal has a number of advantages. First, it would allow the government to avoid a default. Second, it would not require Congress to pass any legislation. Third, it would be a relatively quick and easy solution to the problem. However, the trillion-dollar coin proposal also has some disadvantages. First, it would be a gimmick. The government would be creating money out of thin air. This could lead to inflation. Second, the trillion-dollar coin proposal would be a violation of the Constitution. The Constitution gives Congress the power to borrow money. By minting a trillion-dollar coin, the president would be circumventing Congress's authority. Conclusion. The trillion-dollar coin proposal is a risky but potentially effective solution to the debt ceiling crisis. It would allow the government to avoid a default without having to pass any legislation. However, it would also be a gimmick and a violation of the Constitution. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to mint a trillion-dollar coin is up to the President and Congress. They will need to weigh the risks and benefits of this proposal before making a decision. Thank you for watching this video about $1 trillion coin. I hope you found it informative and engaging. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below.